decidimos hacer un retrato de familia porque estamos viviendo un momento muy bonito, estamos todos bien, los niños son pequeñitos, nuestros padres están todos perfectamente y pensamos en reflejar el momento en una obra que fuera pues, como muy real, muy del momento, ¿no? La fotografía pienso que es el arte del siglo XXI, empezó en el XIX, pero se desarrolló en el XX, pero el siglo XXI va a ser el siglo de la fotografía. Peter es un artista que recoge en sus cuadros no solo la realidad, sino que la integra con el pasado, con la historia, con el símbolo, con la personalidad de los personajes, y nos resultaba muy interesante el cómo a lo largo de la historia todos los pintores clásicos habían integrado una serie de elementos que recogían del pasado. Pues Peter hace lo mismo, pero con la fotografía. Él manipula sus fotos, las carga de simbolismo, introduce elementos, en este caso muy españoles, muy internacionales, muy americanos, y su visión desde el mundo americano de una familia española nos parece muy interesante.
Too strong.
Too strong.
It goes down this way. That's what Francis
We want
did.
the light to go down, and I probably have a window of about a half an hour to shoot.
Okay.
But let's look at this wall, and
Within about an hour.
that's too soft. But let's look on the other side. This is a better wall, and we just have to decide. It's nice.
Yeah.
Now,
You like that?
I like that better because there it's still too contrasty. The only thing is I have to make a decision tomorrow morning before they put that stuff on. A very wonderful opportunity occurred, and that was to go to Valencia to photograph a beautiful and wonderful family there. And the story was that I was in Valencia last year to photograph an image of my own making, my own devising in Valencia, and I photographed a very, very beautiful woman. And it turned out that when this photograph was shown in the Museum of Valencia, the man whose studio I photographed her in saw the photograph. It was a diptych, actually, 2 photographs, and was so impressed that he got hold of Rosalind Williams, who got in touch with me. Rosalind is my translator and basically helps me organize my work in Spain. But the person whose studio it was got in touch with me, and he wanted his family photographed. And it was up to me to agree. I agreed. It was a great challenge. And the drawing I came up with was something quite complex because I don't do anything usual. Usual is boring. Usual is territory that's been already walked upon. So what I wanted to do was to create a very long photograph, of kind of a panorama of the history of Spain, both philosophical, theological, and contemporary. This particular family, the father is an architect. The mother is an incredibly beautiful woman who is part of the family of Eladro dynasty, who basically makes these sculptures that have been around from the 50s. They're internationally important. It was incredibly difficult to make this photograph of the Reyes family. And I've been photographing for 40 years, and in all those years, this was the most complex photograph I've ever made. And it took several days to gather the models here, to find props. When we went to Valencia, that is Rosalind Williams and myself, we had to also get in touch with carpenters and painters to basically put this set together. We were there the day before the shooting, so I could basically look at the lighting, because this was shot in the open air. This was shot outside on the estate of the family, and it's an orchard that grow oranges and citrus fruit. So at 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday, we arrived, the carpenter arrived with the platforms and the boxes of different height that parts of the family would be standing on in the different models. And we were also at 8:30 in that morning, two men came from a design group with very, very wonderful backdrops from the theater from the turn of the century, made of paper. And we spent actually between 8:30 and 4:30 trying to make this background work. And the paper, enormous size, just didn't work. It couldn't be hung on the buildings right. And at 4:30, with everything basically prepared for, with the hairdresser, the makeup people, stylist, the children being made up and dressed, the mother, the father being made up and dressed, I had to basically find a new location, redesign everything, which meant painting the background, grabbing parts of branches and trees and drapery, nailing those up, and by 6 o'clock I had to basically prepare the foreground, the platforms, and get everything ready for the people coming out.
Él integra elementos del drama de Goya, que es muy español, introduce el elemento del arquitecto relacionándolo con mi profesión, soy arquitecto, introduce el tema de la infancia, del perrito, de la mujer como elemento vital, la que da la vida, la que es el centro, realmente está en el centro de la composición. Y luego el tema de la historia de la pintura con una figura parecida a Jesucristo, es decir, él relaciona los personajes actuales con los personajes simbólicos de siempre. Eso es fundamental en esta obra. Va a ser una foto bastante grande, como de 2 metros y pico de ancho por 1 y pico de alto. Va a ser un retrato importante, único según él, porque va a ser una obra espectacular. Pues yo creo que cuando esté en casa, pues lo primero que pasará es que cuando entre la gente chocará muchísimo, porque hace falta tener un poco la mentalidad un poco avanzada, ¿no? Y entonces aquí en España un retrato de ese tipo o de esa carga va a ser pues una cosa que en principio va a despertar mucha curiosidad. De aquí a un periodo de tiempo, pues 5 años o 10 años, pues me imagino que será un retrato clásico. Ahora no lo es, ahora es un retrato de vanguardia.
I decided to create a photograph with part of the treasure starting from the left-hand side of this image. The photograph would include a Ribera owned by the family in their own museum, in their collection, with a museum guard. Then the next figure would be a Christos figure, a wonderfully beautiful man I found in Madrid, who's one of the curators of Foto España. And next to him on a ladder, a woman, another curator of Foto España named Patricia, who represented a kind of a Goya bruja. Then there was armor, representing the history of warfare and political confusion of any country, including Spain. Then there were 2 platforms. On that platform was the mother of this particular family, Immaculata, and with her daughter Gracia. And she was dressed in a very, very beautiful, beautiful costume, contemporary costume, and she was sitting on a Valencian chair. Next to her was her husband, Francisco, who's an architect, and in front of Francisco is Marcos, the second son, who around his throat, on his chest, was a medal from the French government, because I was very impressed that the boys and the little daughter after school, when they come in from school, I observed they have a French tutor to learn French. This to me was very, very important and showed the concern of the parents. Then there was on a Louis, I think, 15th couch, Kuro, the oldest boy, with a little puppy, and around the puppy's neck I had rented an Eights collar. That's the same collar you find in Dutch paintings at the time of Rembrandt and Vermeer. And next to Kuro was Lucas, the youngest boy, who has great interest in science, and he was holding his favorite toy, the skeleton that all the children study. And all that together basically would represent not only the contemporary family of the Reyases, but also the particular connection with this Ladro dynasty